What up, everybody? In this video, we're going to be talking about minions. I never thought we'd be making a video about minions, but we are. We're going to talk about the best minions currently in the game, what you can expect, hopefully, what I'm going to be doing, and the impact it's going to have on the Death Seed Scourge. But before that, I got a message from my favorite sponsors, Bloodline Heroes of Lithis.
Bloodline Heroes of Lithis is a free-to-play hero collector fantasy RPG game with amazing 3D graphics. Build your own kingdom and shape the economy to fit your individual playstyle. Utilize your economy to build the most diverse collection of playable champions, from demons, elves, demigods, dragons, werewolves, and everything in between. Yes, that's right, I said everything in between. With their unique era system, you can create over 800 different fantasy hybrid between the bloodlines. Like if you wanted to mix an orc with a demon, you could absolutely do that and create a monster to battle with you on the field. My favorite of the bloodlines has got to be the Lycan, the werewolves, and you can mix them with the demons to make just the coolest demon werewolves ever. But it doesn't stop there. The game is constantly coming out with new bloodlines, like the upcoming Minotaur and Fox-like Vulpins. The Minotaurs are amazing tanks that can stop enemies in their tracks and hold off bosses while your allies safely take them out. The Fox-like Vulpins are agile assassins that can launch sneak attacks to take out enemies without notice. These classes are coming to the game during the Thanksgiving event starting November 24th, where Bloodline will be giving away the Minotaur for free just for playing. So come join me by downloading the game using the link in the description below, or scan this QR code. Get a special starter pack using this link valued at $20, including stamina potions, gold, and diamonds. Make the best hybrid bloodline possible and conquer Lithis.
New legends will be born. Download free now.
So this past Friday, we did get a blog with some troubling information about the Death Seed Scourge. And that is that we're going to have to use minions through difficulties 1 through 10 for nodes 1 and 2. The other traits are going to be heroes, non-legendary mutant, and legendary. I'm fine with those traits. I think the legendary section is probably going to be the hardest section here because we're going to be able to use horsemen there, so it's going to have to be tuned to match that power that we have, which is fine. But the minions is what we're going to talk about in this video. We'll do another video on the other ones at a later date. The minions is tough, right? And to kind of alleviate some of that, they are introducing some Scourges that are going to buff your minions. These three are the main three. They're each worth 23 points, so if you're trying to be competitive at all, you're really going to have all these equipped. And I don't see why you wouldn't. So, on spawn, minions gain revive once. On turn, minions flip negative effects. And all minions gain 30% focus, health, crit chance, crit damage, revive, and active healing. I think that affects the shield team the most, because of the assaulter mechanic with crits, the revive coming with medic, as well as the revive once you get, the active healing coming from medic and from operative as well, and they are a 5-person minion team, which is nice. But these buffs, in no way, shape, or form, make a minion on par with a named character. Giving a shield medic all of these buffs and having her at equal gear level as and T4s as a character, even like Minerva, who's a super old character, doesn't make her on the same level as Minerva. Kit wise, damage wise, survivability wise, Minerva still would vastly outscale Shield Medic given these buffs. And Minerva is herself already super power crept out of the meta, right? So when you look at these and you think like, okay, well, enemy minions might have this buff that'll make other nodes harder. I disagree. I don't think these buffs will do anything to make minions more difficult. We probably won't see many throughout the Scourge. Could be wrong. We'll see. So what I expect to happen for nodes 1 and 2 is that they're going to be very, very easy. If minions are in the current state they are. I doubt that'll be the case. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But I think nodes 1 and 2, regardless, are probably going to be very easy. So let's talk about our minions then. I think there's only 3 minions in the game right now that you can make a case for, and that would be Ravagers. So Ravagers can be used in the War Scourge alongside T'Challa and Yondu, which is cool, but we already had the first round of War Scourge, which means there's already about 700 people or so who have 7 Yellow Star, 500 who got it for free, 200 who probably bought their way from 6 to 7. So the pool of competitiveness in War Scourge is already diminished a little bit, to the point where you'll have to do less to get a similar ranking that people did on the first run. So I don't think Ravagers have as much value as they did before, and after the next War Scourge, they'll lose even more, and even more, and even more as it goes. So I don't think I would recommend somebody to build Ravagers for the War Scourge at this point. So that value, I think, is a little missing there. Then we talk about their intended use. War offense alongside Yondu and T'Challa. So keep that in mind. They are, at best, at the end game, a B- war offense team. You really only use them against a full Astonishing X-Men team, Marauders if there's no Emma, and you would sub out Bruiser, who's one of the minions, and sub in Hawkeye if you wanted to take out Uncanny or Web Warriors. And those 4 defensive teams we rarely see now. And that's at the very, very high end of play. Sorry if I'm talking slow, I'm battling a sickness, so I'm trying to not cough and stuff. And that's for the very, very high end of play. They're very rarely used as kind of a unicorn situation, so that you don't have to use one of your better offensive teams. For the vast majority of players, they keep their Gamma on offense, they keep their Darkhold on offense, they keep their Weapon X on offense, or some kind of variation. And so for the vast majority of players, it pushes Ravagers even lower on the when will I end up using this team. So I don't think there's value in Ravagers in saying like, build them up and you'll use them in other places of the game. I don't think so. So now let's go look at other Minion teams. Now I'm not going to show all the pictures of the Minions because that would be 30 characters, and honestly there's not even artwork for some of them because even Scopely knows we don't care about Minions. I'm not going to use them on thumbnails, they don't give me that art. So if I were to rank them from worst to best in their current state without the face of their team, right? So Nobu's with Hand. Nobu makes Hand a little bit better, but without Nobu, Hand is the worst Minion team. I don't think that's a stretch. I would, however, mention that, Hand Archer, I think Blade Master did get some stat reworks. They would be the most recent stat reworked characters. But besides blunt damage, they bring nothing else. They have like the healer and defense up, which is cool, but then they fall off really hard. So Hand, I think, is the worst Minion team. Kree, and I should also mention, Hand is a 5-person team. Kree is a 5-person team as well, I think, and then we go from there, yeah. Kree, same kind of deal as Hand, without Ronan for that ability block, or I think it's assist damage. They fall off hard. They have a nice little burst window with Kree Noble calling in an assist, and after that it's really rough. And then we have Scientist Supreme, AIM. Without Scientist Supreme, they don't get defense down. I don't think they get offense up, and they just don't do enough damage. They're a lot tankier than Kree and Hand are, which is nice. But they just won't do anything. Like, they won't do any damage. So they come in at number 4. Now we have Mercenaries. Mercenary is only a 4-person team. Bruiser is obviously only a 3-person team. So it's not even a full team. Could they maybe add in another Minion to make that a full team? I guess. They did just take Taskmaster off of any kind of Merc team. I don't see it happening though. But anyway, Mercenaries are coming in at number 3 mainly because of Riot Guard and Merc Lieutenant. Merc Lieutenant giving speed up, offense up, Riot Guard being a very, very strong tank. That helps your minions actually do damage while also absorbing hits, and just the energy is flowing through that Merc Lieutenant, which is nice. And then I think Merc Soldier also got a little stat rework when Skeleton came out, so there's that too. Merc Sniper I don't think has been touched in a while. He hits like a pea shooter, so pretty unfortunate there. And then there's Shield and Hydra, and I think an argument can be made to make either of these rank 1 or rank 2. Both of these Minion teams can somewhat function without their named characters. Obviously not as good, but they do function. They have control, they have good tanks, they have good healing, and they work the best with the ISO system. So Hydra and Shield were mostly kicked out before ISOs became a thing, and they are going to work the best with ISOs. And like I said before, Shield really works the best with that one Scourge, the Super Soldier Serum Scourge. So there's that. Here's the thing though. None of these teams are currently meta. Hand with Nobu. Nobu's been peeled off to Underworld. Same with Taskmaster. Fury's with Secret Avengers. And Red Skull is with... Maybe you're using him with Zemo in Crucible to do some speed shenanigans, and that's about it. So none of these teams are currently worth building, and that's just the way it is. So what do I suggest people do right now? What should you do right now? Who should you build? You should build nobody. Do not build any minions. Do not listen to anybody telling you to build such and such team. If someone's telling you Shield and Hydra are the best teams, go ahead and build them. Don't do it. If they say build Hand because they got the most recent stat reworks, don't do it. Don't build any minions. At least not yet, okay? Wait till you see a psychopath like Zubin get through it, and then I'm going to follow his lead and I'll get through it, then I'll share that information with you. Any resources you put into it right now are completely and utterly wasted. Just absolutely thrown in the garbage. Because we're probably going to get reworks. This is what happened last year. And it's not guaranteed, but it's noticing a pattern. Last year, we got 3 teams over the course of this long patch. The next patch is their long 2-month patch. We had Uncanny, where Magic came in. We had a full team of Web Warriors. And then we had Ravagers with Starlet T'Challa joining Yondu and becoming a War Offense team. This upcoming patch, we only have 2 Death Seed members. So they have a lot of spaces to fill in order to give us enough of what they consider an appropriate amount of projects over the long patch. Because we've already worked on our Psylocke, our Magneto. We're going to get Dark Beast this patch, so we're going to work on him. So we're going to have 2 more Death Seed members. But that's not the same as when we had 5 Web Warrior members. So I think we're looking at a lot of reworks, possibly 2 of them having minions involved. Which I'm not sure how I feel about that. We'll talk about that at the end. But I think possible reworks, we can see Madam Viper come in, we can see MODOK come in, and we can see maybe a full new minion team come in the form of Sword. I think that would be the worst option. I don't think they should introduce any more minions. They should, if they are doing this, introduce a named character, which unfortunately you won't be able to use in the Scourge, but will take the sting off of building minions for the Scourge. I really do lean heavily into Madam Viper right above me here, because she kind of fits the Star-Lord T'Challa mold the best. She would come in, she would take Red Skull, and you would have 3 minions. That takes the sting off of building Hydra minions for this event a little bit, but not all the way, right? Because you would still have 2 of your Hydra minions that you built for Scourge become completely useless, unless it's like Wakanda, where 3 of them are the core, 3 of them are the core, which would be your Madam Viper, your Red Skull, and 1 of the minions, probably the tank. And then the other 2 flex between War and Crucible. I think that would be the best thing to do, and something they should have absolutely advertised before dropping this and making everybody mad. And then you would have MODOK. Now the thing about MODOK is I don't see that team really being a thing without Scientist Supreme and Graviton in the mix. So I think it would be the same thing as Madam Viper, but a little bit less likely because there's more named mobs to include. And then you'd have Sword, which I don't think will be a thing, but man, fingers crossed for an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. team, maybe some Fitz and Simmons action coming in and they can make them a minion. Just make the minions. They're cheap little scientists anyway. Could be fun. But yeah, I think you need to wait on reworks. Do not spend any resources. Anyone telling you to spend resources right now, I think, is unintentionally giving you bad advice. So how do you prepare? The answer is the same as it always is, guys. For all these events, how do you prepare? Hoard. Hoard, 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 hoard. I know that's not optimal because you want to spend gold for the high roller milestone. But I think if you want to be competitive here, do not gamble that AIM is going to be the team that gets a rework. Do not gamble that Hydra is going to be the team that gets a rework just because I said, you know, I kind of feel it might be Madam Viper. That would be really bad. Because if you build those minions up to a level sustainable with the rest of your roster for what you're going to be doing in the other 8 nodes, and it turns out that's not the team, you're going to be so mad at yourself, but you're not going to blame yourself. You're going to blame me or the other content creator who told you to do that. So don't. The rewards from High Roller are nice, but passable. So I think you want to hoard. Now, how much should you hoard? If you're going from level 1, let's say you're going super sweaty tryhard mode. If you're going from level 1 to level 90 on 5 characters, you're going to want about 65 million gold. About, I think, 2,000 to 3,000 orange training materials. And they only have 3 abilities. I think that's a 620 T4s, times that by 5, so about 3,500 or so T4s. If you wanted to, or if you had to T4 absolutely every single one of their abilities. That's a huge horde. We already don't have enough time for most people to get that. But you could aim towards that. And now we should talk about, is this a good thing? How will it affect the other areas in Scourge? And how will it affect other areas in the game? Alright, so in totality, I'm saying horde until we know all the information, which will literally probably, or could be, not until the first day of Scourge when people are finally in there tackling the nodes. What are the downstream effects of this? Well, if there is a rework, that would be best case scenario in my opinion. It would give a team that might have some value for endgame players. Not good for the total of the game. Because just like Ravagers started as a B tier offensive team, I don't see them making a Minion team that's going to crack the top 5, maybe not even the top 10 of War offense or defense. Maybe Crucible though, if they add a Minions room, which may be something they do to help make this a selling point. But even then, I don't think it's good because people will have better options. Like if a reworked Hydra team ends up being the best team for it, there's some kind of rework with Madam Hydra. Is there a world where that team can beat Eternals on either War or Crucible? Can they beat Wakanda in either War or Crucible? I don't think they'll make that jump because they didn't make that jump for Ravagers, so I don't feel like I have any reason to assume they would now. So, what's going to be, in my opinion, what happens even if there's a rework? Regardless of how easy Nodes 1 and 2 are, you're going to have to build your minions in accordance with the difficulty and the other Scourges that you're applying when considering the other 8 nodes. So when you're considering how strong your heroes are, your War Dogs, your Wakanda, your Bionic Avengers, non-legendary mutants, and legendary section. If you have those sections built up and able to handle difficulty 8 with 200 Scourges on, which is something that like the high-end people do, you're going to have to build your minions up at least enough to get through Nodes 1 and 2, which will probably still be max leveling them and putting the right T4s on them, even if it's garbage. And that is going to remain true all the way down the competition. So, I think this will actually lower the competitiveness on the leaderboards, because I don't think people are going to want to make that sacrifice, especially now that we've had a feel for these Scourges. Right now, we're currently getting the 3rd run of Rogue. We're on like the 4th run of Morgan Le Fay. We're probably up to the 2nd run of Red Elk really, really soon. So people don't feel the same kind of urgency we felt when we had the first Morgan Le Fay event or when we had the first Rogue event. Which I guess is good, so if you're competitive, it might be a little bit easier to hit a higher ranking. Cool. It's still a morale killer for the community, and I think the way it was announced was really, really unfortunate. If there's a rework, they definitely should have mentioned that first. Now, if there is no rework, and they are literally asking us to set these resources on fire to build up the current state of S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra, Kree, or maybe 3 Ravagers and 2 whatever that sub in, that's really bad. That would be really, really bad, and it would be inexcusable in my opinion. So what are the downstream effects of this? It is in my opinion, a very, very negative thing. We'll see what happens. Maybe they will do a rework, and maybe that team will be a top 5 team. But I still don't think people will celebrate that. I know personally, I'm not going to celebrate a Madam Viper, Red Skull, or defense team, even if it's in the top 3. I just wouldn't, because I don't want to play with minions. And I think that's what it comes down to. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope this wasn't a bummer. I hope it helps you make some better informed decisions. And just, I cannot stress this enough, guys. Do not put resources into minions right now. Maybe you'll hit the jackpot, but what does it matter? If you build up your aim right now, and it does turn out aim is the team, cool. But building them up now doesn't help you until they are the team. So it's just wasted resources up till now. And if you're wrong, and you gamble on the wrong team, you're going to be very upset. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you are sick like me, feel better. If not, enjoy not feeling sick. Please.